Since this is very last minute and everybody else is reading, I'm probably going to read this as well, so forgive me, I don't like to do it this way. But back in the 60s, it seems that Pamela and I were hanging out with the same circle of crazy rock and roll people, but on different coasts. So surprisingly, we only got to meet several years ago, but for a long time, I felt like I knew her because I'd read all of her wonderful books, and she really opened her heart in those books, and I think you probably all felt the same way when you read them. These were books that made me smile, made me cry, and made me nod knowingly. They were books that brought me back to a happier, more innocent time when sometimes all it took to make life worthwhile was to put on a pair of purple velvet bell-bottoms and go out and see your favorite band play and maybe meet them afterwards.
That's right.
Right. So Pamela captured all of that with humor, respect, and above all, love. And we responded because how could you not? I'm so happy I finally got to meet this mythical, mystical, magical creature, and I'm very honored to introduce her. So please welcome the lovely and ever groovy Miss Pamela Des Barres.
Thank you. Someone should have introduced Maureen Van Zandt. Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, thank you. That was such a beautiful intro. This book, Let It Bleed, is my latest book. And is this on?
Yeah.
Is this thing on? Okay. And I'm just going to read the intro and a couple of my little pieces. The best part of this book has been, well, my last 15 years of teaching women's writing workshops. Sometimes I allow a guy or two, but, you know, women don't open up as much with men in the room. So it's mainly women. And I feature a lot of my writers in here, which tonight you guys get to hear 6 of my writers read, which is so thrilling. That's my favorite part, you know. So I'm just going to read the intro to the book so you know a little bit about it. And then I'll read 2 of my little pieces that I wrote for it, because I think people want to hear my work too, and my goofy things that I've been through. Quite a few of them. When I decided to add teaching to my ongoing life repertoire, I happily discovered I had a built-in audience for my writing workshops, my readers. Oh, excuse me. I can do it, but it's better with the glasses. I'm 68 years old. As I sat nervously in my colorful, cluttered living room the very first night, one by one the girls arrived at my door, a delightful group of music-loving ladies of all ages with pent-up tales and soulful stories to share. I was as skittish as my first bunch of students, but we soon discovered we'd found kindred spirits, and heaved a collective sigh of relief as the words began spewing forth like vivid gemstones. Most of them had read my 2 autobiographies, which are here tonight, and felt comfortable with me because I'd already opened my heart to them. I'd told all, some of it wildly personal, scandalous, and deeply confessional, so they were willing to join me in that sweet freedom of expression. Perhaps it was naivete or my penchant. How do you say that, French people? Penchant. For ruthless truth. But I've been told many times that after reading my loquacious life stories, my students felt freed up to share their own. Since I've shared my way ups and low downs, it has impelled my writers to defy their own trepidation and doubt. And if you are reading this with the aim of writing your own life story, I emphatically encourage you to do the same. No holds debarred. I had to do that, right? Okay. I'm going to read a little piece of mine. This, the prompts, I've titled the prompts, which, you know, as I introduce each girl, I'll give you the prompt that they wrote on. This one is called, this one is the first live music concert you ever saw. It's a forever memory engraved inside my pupils because I can blink and see it all again. Just like waving a magic wand and landing in the 5th row at the Hollywood Bowl, August 23rd, 1964. I'm sure can you guess who that might be, people? Yes. James Paul McCartney's side of the stage. I am determined not to shriek, wail, and sob like the other Beatlemaniacs swooning all around me. I'm piercingly focused, holding my head high, my hair coiled up on my head with a long, ringleted, fake piece of fluff streaming down my back. Very mature for a 14-year-old. I am bedecked in a blue-checked mini outfit, carefully chosen, chiffon, tight, short, and sassy, gazing hard at the cute beetle, knowing for certain we will make eye contact, knowing. And we do. His bedroom browns lock onto my baby blues. The moment shimmers, the world spins and spins, rollicking inside me. The screams cease. True tunnel vision. 1 second. 2. I know he's seen me, like I know his first name is really James. That Ringo was born Richard Starkey, that John's birthday is October 9th, that Paul's mother died when he was only 14, that he was named after his dad Jim, who played the trumpet, that he has the longest, leanest legs in rock and roll. Slowly, the oh-so-familiar music comes back to me, barely discernible over the howls and yipping of my besotted compatriots. The Beatles played for 23 minutes, and then they were gone. Girls are fainting and holding each other up beside me as I numbly walk out of the Hollywood Bowl. My Beatle friends talk loudly and animatedly about the show, but I am silent and sure and wildly alive. I have been seen. by Paul McCartney. And that this one is the first album you bought. Well, first album I bought, which is a very important prompt. I mean, think about it. What was the first album you bought? Yeah, yell it out. I want to hear your first album. Are you experienced? Right on. Frank Sinatra. That's the first album you bought? Wow. Anyone else?
Laura Nero.
Wow. Come on. Very good, very good. Yeah, that's okay. The Bee Gees are great. Come on. Whatever moves you, that's all. The Monkees, hey, that's fine. Okay. The first album I bought with my own allowance money was Alone with Dion. Oh, God. And I still have it. Once in a while, I pull it out, gaze at the Come Hither cover, and briefly become the 13-year-old girl who proudly carried her Dion fan club card. It was his first foray into a solo career, having left the Belmonts behind, singing on the street corners in the Bronx. I would sit in my room and study Mr. DiMucci's eyes smoldering into the camera, a pair of hot pink satin-clad arms wrapped tightly around his torso, and wonder who got to embrace my hero and how long did she have her arms around him. How tall was he? What did Dion smell like? He's a study in nonchalance. He's so relaxed, the utmost and cool. And the album features the song Lonely Teenager, which still ranks very high on my personal hit parade. Not only was he crazy handsome and crooned with yearning angst, what can I do? What can I say? He understood me. I recently made the pilgrimage to the Bronx and wandered the wide streets past Italian markets and garlicky scents wafting yummily all around me, ate in a restaurant that Dion still frequents, and stood in the foyer of the very building on Belmont Avenue where Dion and his Belmonts doo-wop their way into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. My friends and I tried to recreate the poppin' harmonies, but anyone strolling by, remember that, Sharon? Probably wondered where the racket was coming from. But we stood in that same foyer that they... So it's remarkable how certain things that happened during our pubescence still hold such tender sway in our lives. Yes, Bobby Rydell was suave, Fabian was cute, but Dion was smooth, and he wrote his own songs. Yes, I'm proud of my good teenage taste in music. At 77, Dion continues to perform brilliantly, and I still drive hours to sit enraptured in the front row and glow. When he sings Run Around Sue, I have to get up and dance, and sometimes he spots me, and his eyes twinkle behind his uberly cool shades. It still feels good to be seen. You know, I'm such a groupie, oh God. I think once a groupie, always a groupie, and we should be proud of it, okay? So I have 6 of my girls, 6 of my New York dolls. I call all my writers my dolls, and I fall in love with them like it's a romance. I love all of my dolls all over the world that come to my writing classes, and I'm just going to do them in order in the book. So Anne, this is Anne Raso. She's going to read her piece, which is, what was the piece, Anne? Oh, what did you dream about being when you grew up, and how did it turn out?
I dreamed about being a writer since I was 12 or 13 and started out by working for my junior high newspaper in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. After I was given a tan Smith Corona electric typewriter for Christmas 1972. My father always said it was the best gift my family ever got me since it helped pave my way in a journalism career at an early age. Anytime that I see that model of electric typewriter on a TV show or movie set in the 70s, I giggle. If I recall correctly, I stuck smiley face stickers on mine as well as Ricky Ticky stickies, those super large dark and light pink daisy stickers that they sold at Spencer's Gifts. As a junior high reporter, I covered the cheerleading squad, the fencing team, and after-school activity listings circa 1973 to 1974. This was before late 1974 when I asked my grandfather, who knew the owner of the Paterson, New Jersey Evening News, to hook me up with the features editor. I got to interview bands I loved but was not paid. Circa 1974 to 1978, I interviewed a bunch of odds and ends artists, including Patti Smith, who noticed my monogram canvas tote had the same initials as her literary idol, Arthur Rimbaud. Frank Zappa, who came to the door of the decaying Carter Hotel in Times Square with his pants unzipped. Mink DeVille, who was managed by my mother's best friend's sleazy bearded son who looked like Jerry Garcia, and more. I eventually moved on to regional entertainment publications like the Aquarian, a rock paper based out of Montclair, New Jersey, and then the college paper at the University of Missouri. Did my dream of becoming a writer pan out to be as glamorous as I thought it would be? I would say half yes and half no. It's a hell of a hard way to make a living, even though I have a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I feel that ageism has crept into the business of writing about entertainment, so I've had to branch out to other topics, some a little more mundane than I'd like.
All right, we're going to have Laura Gilmore come up here, and she's going to write about a time that she didn't trust her intuition. We all go through that.
Okay, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I didn't trust my intuition. So.
Speak up, honey bun.
Okay. It's one thing to be in a relationship you shouldn't be in, but not knowing how to extricate yourself because you're being held hostage is another thing I knew I should flee. But the resounding throb of my heart and pussy kept telling me otherwise. I met him at a club. He was very young, cute, tall, long-haired, and played guitar, and he wanted me to be his girlfriend. Why did I feel annoyed? I thought I wanted to dive into deep, dark, sensual, and musical adventures and feel the psychedelic, goth-like merging of the yin-yang. And so I got my wish, following what was sparking me, what was hip and cool in my peer group, and not trusting my intuition. I was involved in this thing called rock and roll, where I could live out big, overstuffed HR puff and stuff, snakeskin, Marshall stack dreams with pink spandex and Doc Martens. Yes, I was in deep, and that's how I liked to play it. I wasn't good at paying attention to red flags. He still had a girlfriend, he drank, and he smoked a lot of pot. He enjoyed tripping, and some of his friends were losers. Then we started having sex. That sealed the deal. Even though I had higher aims and personal goals like law school and writing, I somehow got sucked into thrash metal, alternative grunge, excitement, and intrigue. He pleaded to move in with me, but I had many crushes on other guys, one in particular. He found out about it when he read my diary and announced his anger ferociously. Even though I had given him everything, all my love, half of my apartment, my warm support, and my body, the treason of me wanting another made me the sitting duck for 5,000 years of patriarchal scapegoating. Surely I should be burned as a witch or put in irons in the town square and endlessly ridiculed. I bought it. I didn't know how to get out. I was an addict for our miserable love. I lost my self-esteem and took no interest in life. Point, if your intuition tells you to, listen.
All right. My wonderful student Linda is about to come up and read her piece and describe a time you did something that was completely out of character. You should all do a memoir. I think we all have a memoir in us. I really believe that.
Hello. Hi. Okay, I have trouble seeing, so I had to print it out. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Uptown, Friday night. Streets that seemingly eons ago were laced with crack vials, bullets, and the sorry carcasses of unemployed actors were now teeming with a potpourri of hipsters, tragic hipsters, and hipster wannabes. The bar's front windows sported a wickedly garish cheap beer neon sign that cast an otherworldly glow of color onto my hair, not to be confused with the otherworldly blue-green color that it already was. Gone were the days of dragging raggedy crates of precious vinyl and my own weight's worth in equipment. You needed your very own personal teamster to get from one gig to another. But those days really were done for me as I played my music off a shiny silver MacBook, virtual turntables twirling, spinning, grinding through thousands and thousands of fantastic and wonderful and almost long-lost pieces of someone's soul. Lost Dream by the Electric Prunes fades into Don't Press Your Luck by the Shags. The club is so dark inside that it gave everyone and everything a slightly out-of-focus patina of mystery and beauty. The glare from the lights inside the DJ booth rendered me somewhat blind, and all I could see at a distance were the outlines of the sawed-off guitar necks subbing for bar tap handles, and the silhouettes of the throngs at the bar. Long hair, long hair, long hair, shaved head, long hair, ponytail, shaved head. The pattern repeated itself like a string of misbegotten and style-challenged paper dolls. And then the pattern was broken, and then my heart stopped. He'd stand out in any crowd because he was lots of a little too much. A little too much hair, a little too much black leather, a little too much metal, a little too much guy liner. And I was a little too much what? In love? Definitely a little too much in lust. Ain't That Love by the Chords mixed to It's You by Mickey and the Milkshakes. I thought we had made eye contact. It was really too dark and I couldn't tell, so I smiled and winked anyway. And oh geez, I hoped my flirtation hadn't bypassed him and hit the big old biker dude standing next to him. The biker dude who always requested that I play some Bad Brains. 60 Minutes of Your Love by Love Affair segues into Every Minute of Every Day by Mal and the Primitives. And when I looked back up from the mixer, he was dead smack in front of me. The booth hitting him shoulder high, all fucked up, shaggy, layered hair and crooked smile and dimples and shit. Flirting with the biker dude, eh? Should I be jealous? Yeah, you should be. I hear he's quite the love bunny. He walked around to the side of the booth where the forbidden, non-official entry was merely implied by the broken chain, a trashed Marshall amp, and 30 feet of taped-up electrical cord and cable. As he leaned against the wall and finished his bottle of beer in one gloriously long and deliberately sultry swallow, I was struck deaf and dumb. Besides the fact that his chucks were temporarily replaced by goddamn, for God's sake, honest-to-God beetle boots, Cuban heels and all, he was wearing velvet pants. Black velvet pants. Very tight black velvet pants. Very tight black velvet pants with a lace-up fly. Shall I stop now? No. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, I thought, let me get this out of the way now. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been about 20 years since my last confession. I couldn't help myself. Nice pants, babe. You likey? I wore them just for you. Captain Crunch called. He wants his pants back. But yeah, me likey. I switched out of my garage rock mode and I lined up a massive amount of songs from my I Wanna Punk You Up playlist. I flipped the controls to Automix and did what I had only ever fantasized about doing. I took his hand in mine and walked to the back of the bar. I imagined that we would do what countless others had done before us. I opened the door to the most hideously graffitied and poorly maintained bathroom, and beneath the snarling yet knowing photograph gazes of Joey, Johnny, Stiv, and Sid, to the opening 1, 2, 3, 4 count of I Wanna Be Loved, he pulled me inside.
Ooh, sexy. Yeah. Now I'm going to introduce my wonderful Sheva. Sheva? What is the one we actually decided on? What is the prompt? Okay, you're to recall a live concert experience that moved you.
If you believe in magic, and I know you do, and you believe music is magic, well, of course it is, then you know that concerts are a hallowed place where magic happens. They represent the holy joined with the profane, the exquisite with the mundane. They're sacred and special. Going to a concert is like a July revival meeting in a tent in Mississippi. Hot, sweaty, arms outstretched, bodies pressed together, focused on the priests and priestesses on stage, heads thrown back and eyes closed in ecstasy. It's prayer and sex brought gloriously together with all the splendor and ritual appropriate to such an event. The true believers gather in the front. The skeptics hang back. The lights dim, the chatter ceases, and for a moment, everyone breathes as one. Then they appear. The magicians, the shaman, the holy rollers, the preachers, the teachers, the tellers of great truths. The best of them, the ones you lose your heart and soul to, glow as if lit from within. The bass booms and throbs right through you, merging with your heartbeat. The guitars ring and rock, singing sweet and high or reaching down, way down, into that secret place inside you. As one song gives way to another, you're a disciple, a devotee. You shake and dance, clap your hands, laugh and cry, and offer up praise. These are the moments I live for. I come alive, abandon all cares and worries, and immerse myself in the music as if in the mikveh, the Jewish ritual bath. I sing and pray and give thanks, and emerge with my spirit cleansed and my faith renewed. My life was saved by rock and roll. Wasn't yours?
Oh, it's so beautiful. I can hardly stand it. See how I love my New York dolls. Okay, my next wonderful doll coming up here is Mystie. And hers is it easy for you to forgive, right? Is that the one? Yes, okay. Is it easy for you to forgive?
Hello. Okay. I'll try to read into the mic. There are some things you don't even want to think about, so you stuff the signs and hints way, way down, like hiding valuables in the bottom back of your underwear drawer. Only you believe these valuables are cursed. You pretend that if you can't see them, they aren't really there. And when you tell yourself these same things over and over, you start believing it's not a skip in the record, it's just the way the song goes. Forgiveness is not an easy thing to do. When bad things happen, the usual reaction is hate, disgust, and punishment. Somehow, these are the cursed gems in my underwear drawer. Lately, I've chosen to try something different. Instead of hate, I've chosen love. I've heard that you need to separate the crime from the criminal. I've loved many bad things in my past, and I love most of them. And I still love most of them. But instead of disgust and punishment, I try to help and heal. It's not so easy. The road less traveled, off the beaten path. But I do think it's better. I honestly believe that if we at least try to understand, then maybe something good can blossom and curses can be cured. At least I want to believe this is true, because forgiveness creates a better world, or even a better relationship compared to the alternative that seems unbearable. Thank you.
Thank you, Misty. We have one more girl gonna read, and that is Miss Tammy. And write about what makes you feel totally alive. That is her prompt.
Awesome. So wait, before I start, I just wanted everybody to give another round of applause for Miss Pamela. She is amazing. She is a muse, and I really believe that she's taught all of us to find the muse within ourselves. So thank you very much. Woo! Thank you. Yay. All right, and I'm very honored to not only be the last reader today, but also to be the last writer to be featured in the book. It makes me feel not only totally alive, but it helps me to celebrate the amazing people that I've met and I've been able to encounter. I'm very lucky. I have had many moments of feeling totally alive. Being in a room full of strong women, you can hear the air change with a focus of concentration as we all write. Being in New York City on an expansive white couch, right now in this moment, 109th and Riverside, with vague traffic noises outside. The air was thick and humid yesterday, but autumn is relentlessly blowing in over my shoulder. A long day of work, good moments and frustrations, and a good long nap on the train. I was bantering with a boy that I love at work. I told him he was a genius. Boys love that. He said that he was inspired by my beautiful face. And his face was beautiful as he said it, a wide smile and beaming eyes. We joked further. "Can you read my mind?" I taunted him. "What am I thinking now?" He shrugged. Of course, my answer was, "Let's fuck, let's fuck." But he thought a moment and he said, "Do I want more coffee?" Anyway, man, exactly. They never can read your mind. Trust me. Anyway, so we are here, still at the beginning of the night, with each other's stories to look forward to, the connections and the moments of learning, everyone else's beautiful moments of life. Thank you.
Thank you, gosh. So those are some of my New York dolls. They're not all here, but I appreciate you guys reading. I love you all so much. If it's okay with you, I was going to read a little bit of I'm with the band. Yay. Some of this stuff. I have gotten in so much trouble. Just this week, I've been called a bitch and a whore. Woo. You know? Just own it, yeah. I decided to, at first it's like, ow. no. And then I go, oh, fuck you. But yeah. Yes, I saved the place. Okay. I'm going to read some very early stuff, more Beatles stuff, because that's where, it actually started with Elvis. I loved him so much, and I still do. Even though I had a chance to actually hang with Elvis, and I didn't do it because I was engaged to Michael, my ex-husband. I only have regrets for things I did not do. Nothing that I did do. I could have, Jimi Hendrix could have been my first lover,
It would have been all downhill from there.
Perhaps. Okay. I still wore the school colors and got B's and was trying to figure out what kind of boy was right for me when I got a fatal dose of Beatlemania. The Fab Four entered the atmosphere at exactly the right wide-open moment for Pam Miller of Reseda, California, to become a complete and total blithering, idiotic Beatlemaniac. Paul McCartney personified the perfect man, and once again the dumbbells at Cleveland High who didn't ask me to dance at sock hops faded into oblivion. I'd been searching for some new teen idols anyway. February 10th. Hello, diary. Paul, you are gear. Really fab. Say, chum, why are you so marvelous, love? The most bloomin' idiot on earth is me, 'cause I'm wild over you, chap. It's really embarrassing, but I put it in the book anyway, and I think we need to embarrass ourselves in our memoirs. I think it's important. The country of England, which hadn't existed for me until now, became Mecca, and every day I sent Paul a retardedly corny poem written on an aerogram. Do you remember those? Anybody remember them? You're all probably too young for aerograms. And sealed with a kiss. March 2nd, 1964. It's 2:21 a.m. at Paul's house. He's sleeping. I'm glad. I wish I could see him sleeping. I really do. I wish I could be with him sleeping. Just kidding. I hope he read my poem before he closed his beautiful brown eyes. Really, I was looking today with my friend Ann at a picture of Paul McCartney at Sirius XM that came up on the screen. No one has ever had more beautiful eyes than that guy, right? And the eyebrows? She even said, did he pluck them? No, I don't think he plucked them. I think they were really, I think that those were his actual eyebrows. Even though I dreamed about what was between Paul's perfect milky white thighs, I had not yet conjured up dimensions. I collected Beatle bubblegum cards, and one of them was a shot of Paul playing his bass, sitting on a bed in a hotel with his legs apart. You could actually see the shape of his balls being crushed by the tightness of his trousers. And I carried that card around with me in a little gold box with cotton covering it like it was a precious jewel. I peeked into it reverently once a day and lifted the cotton gently, holding my breath as I stared between his legs at the ninth wonder of the world. And it's true. I still have that little gold box. And I finally met Paul and, all that. I met all four Beatles, which is so thrilling. Okay, now I'm just going to continue with some Beatles stuff. I lost some good friends who were growing up, and going steady and planning their lives after high school. They left me behind with my Beatles lunchbox and bobbing head dolls, practicing my Liverpudlian accent. And guess what? They're probably still in Reseda with a gaggle of Goonie kids to kowtow to, being forced to listen to Motley Crue by their very own burgeoning teenagers, and it serves them right. We gravitated to one another, the Beatle sweeties, and hung around in packs of 4, one for each Beatle. Kathy Willis was my George friend. Her dad knew somebody who worked at the Hollywood Bowl and was going to get us good seats for the Beatles concert on August 23rd, which I read about earlier. We got our tickets before anyone else and bought gilt frames to put them in and hung them on our bedroom walls. I paid homage to my ticket nightly. My entire room was covered with Beatle paraphernalia. I wrote with a Beatle pen, slept on a Beatle pillowcase, and breathed with Beatle lungs. Stevie was my Ringo friend, and no one understood the poor thing. Oh, Pammy, I feel like the world is caving in on me. Everyone's trying to take me Ringo away from me. Help me, Pam. Oh, please help me. I need encouragement so bad. I've got to meet Ringo or my whole life will be completely empty. Oh, I'm suffering so. He's my love and I love him. Oh, God, please don't let me Ringo be taken away. Oh, my. Okay. My dad bought me a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and I made up lots of adorable little plays, acting out all the different parts in which Jane Asher dies many grisly, horrifying deaths. The Pam Miller character was always around to pick up Paul's pieces. Of course. Okay. I developed a series of rituals that I had to perform every night or I would never meet Paul. Number 1, write "I love Paul" at the top of my diary in my most perfect handwriting. Sometimes I still do that. Hey, we're both alive. Number 2, listen to a Beatles record before sleep. No other sound could assault my eardrums after the sacred sound. If the dog barked, I had to climb out of bed and start over. Number 3, put a sweet tart under my tongue as my head hit the pillow and let it dissolve as I pictured myself in his arms. In addition to these rituals, I had to write his name down every time I farted. And I carried the list around with me until it reached well into the thousands before I became embarrassed and hid it underneath the clothes hamper. And I still have that list, and I think it should be in the Smithsonian. That's where I think it should be. I'm just going to read one more little piece. This is a little later when I got into the Stones. And I did that because of Captain Beefheart. Victor Hayden, the mascara snake in the Beefheart band, and his cousin went to my high school. And he changed my whole life. He turned me on to Dylan and the Stones. And I actually got to meet the Rolling Stones while I was still in high school. No one at the high school believed me, but I did meet them. And here's the very early part of that. The month of waiting for the Stones' arrival increased my wanton desire to feel those gigantic lips on mine. I started writing porno things in my diary for the first time. Someday I will touch and feel him, I know it. Mick, my dear, dear penis! I brazenly created, I know that was a word that, I had just decided I could say or even print, I had already actually gotten off to his music, and I thought, what the fuck is that? And I was determined to ultimately meet him. And, if you read the book, you'll see I actually did. And it was pretty fabulous. Okay. I brazenly created in pink and red oil colors my concept of what his balls might look like. I turned it into Mr. Gifford as a modern art project and got an A. They came to Hollywood on May 11th, 1965, the same day I was thrown out of school for looking absurd. That was the actual quote, that the vice principal called my mom and said, "Your daughter is looking absurd today. You better come in." And it was just a little dress I'd made. I made it myself, and I wore, anyway. Okay, I can still see my mom trying to explain to the lumpy old maid VP about the new look in teen fashion. Victor, who was Beefheart's cousin, was proud of me, and I figured I looked just right for the Rolling Stones. So we hurtled ourselves to RCA, hoping they might be recording, and incredibly, they were. We waited around panting until they came out, and as if I were in a zomboid trance, I followed Mick into the parking lot. He got into the rented station wagon, and he turned and asked me to help him out of the parking space. I was so enthralled that he'd spoken to me, and just being in his presence turned me into such a gibbering, slack-jawed dildo brain that I had him bumping into 2 different cars before he made it out of there. I'm afraid I didn't make a very good first impression. Dazed, I walked right into Keith as he ambled to the car. Even in my bewildered condition, I swore he gave me a sexy look. I wrote in my diary, "He looked me over. Sexy." And what did he see? A skinny, shivering wreck of a teenager, truly petrified during her daring rock and roll deed. So. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Wow, it means so much to me. My girls got to read, and it's so neat to have another book out. And wow, I'm just such a happy little bitch. And I'm really pleased to see you all. And I have a few more books to sell and pictures. I'll sign them. I'll kiss you on the lips. So yeah, hang out. And thank you, all my dolls, and thank you, Maureen Van Zandt, for introducing me. And my wonderful editor, Sarah Carter, is here. Yes! She got the book published. Thank you.